Today's daf is daf Ayin Dalud. Continuing the laws of Ribbis, the Mishnah told us that even though we have a general rule that you're not allowed to lend, let's say, a saw of wheat and then get payment back a saw of wheat later date, because it could be the price will go up, and as a result of that, it looks like Ribbis. It's Ribbis the Rabbanon of Ribbis. But then the Mishnah told us that that if you, let's say, talked about say lending something at the time when you prepay. We're talking actually about prepaying. If you prepay something at the early stage of the time of harvesting, and then you say, "I'll pay you later," when we actually it's ready at the threshing floor, that is permitted, because the price fluctuation is not that great, and therefore that is permitted. So we'll have an argument with Rabbi Shmuel. To what extent do we say that is permitted? Because we say it's not like something new. It's more or less you're talking about the same item that you lent. So the Gemara is as follows: Let's say that the price hasn't come out yet, and we talked about at the time of sort of harvesting. You're harvesting a bit early, and you're organizing now. You're working out exactly how much you're taking, and you work out a price. And I said, but I'll pay you at the time of the threshing, so I'm prepaying you. Nevertheless, you're allowed to. Amarav says Rav. Only if two activities are missing, Paisik, you're allowed to do that, because then it's more or less the same item that's going to be ready. But Shalish, if you need to do three different activities to get it finally ready, then ain't no Paisik. Then it's too remote, it's too far away. It's as if it's non-existent at the moment. But Shmuel says, B'day Adam, Shmuel said that if it's totally up to you, then I feel no. But if it's totally in my capacity to fix it up, then I feel meya. Even it takes 100 steps to get it finally ready. Paisik, we can work out a price right now, because it's still not considered that remote, because I have the ability to fix all that up as if I already fixed it up. But b'day Shemayim, if it's not up to me, if one of the activities is something I'm depending on a natural event, then I feel even if it's only one step away, because I'm not in control. It's as if the item is not here present yet, and I cannot go ahead with this loan. It looks like possibility of ribis if it goes up in value. So now the Gemara is going to go through our Mishnah step by step, because we learned in the Mishnah a number of cases. We learned in the Mishnah a number of examples. We learned in the Mishnah, for example, we just said that you harvested a bit earlier than everybody else. That was example number one. And the price hasn't come out yet. And the reason why we allow you is as if it's considered yesh like. Remember, we said one of the exceptions are you're allowed to talk about it early if it's already in existence. We consider that already in existence, and Rav told us that if it's only two more steps to bring it, to full stage, it's good enough. It's as if it's already in existence, not three. The next thing we learned about was that if, let's say, a vat of grapes that you haven't yet pressed, or a vat of olives that you haven't yet pressed, is considered like it's already present. And at that stage, I can already negotiate a price, anything else, even though you haven't turned it into oil, you haven't turned it into wine yet. And we also said regarding making clay, earthenware, as well, if you already have a certain stage, like if you already have the ball of clay, you're allowed to work it out, even though you haven't finished the product yet. And the same thing with plaster or lime. When you're about to put it in the oven, still a few steps away. And then by fertilizer, we had an argument. So we're going to go through each one of these steps to see if that's considered remote or not. Says the Gemara, Tanah, we look at the Mishnah, it says the first case was that we can talk about the beginning of the harvest, even though what do you call it? The threshing floor hasn't yet taken place. Now, there are a number of steps between the harvesting and the threshing floor. What's it missing, for example? These are the steps. We're going to go through every step. It is missing that first of all, you have to take the wheat stalks and place them in the sun. You got to get the lemeidish to come dry, and ulemeidish in order to thresh, umidra, and then you have to winnow. So there's a number of steps, and in fact, it's more than two steps; it's three steps. So how come, according to Rav, we say that it's considered yeshla as if the wheat is already in existence when they're three steps away from existence? Says we're talking about a case here where it's already deshada b'chama, the others. You're talking about it's already in the sun and it's dried up, so it's only two steps away, the threshing and the winnowing, and that's what the Mishnah is talking about. Why you can already work out a price. It's considered yeshloy as if the item is already in existence. And when the logic in that is, if the item is in existence, as if you already gave it back the lender, and any increase in value is the lender's increase. Now the question is, the Shmuel said that if you have to rely on natural events, natural occurrences, like the wind blowing when it comes to winnowing, when you throw it up in the air, the wind blows and it breaks the chaff. So from the wheat. So then, how come you're permitted to do this? It's missing the winnowing, and that's to do with the wind. So you can do it if there's no wind and there's still day. You can still go ahead and winnow by creating your own wind, and therefore by blowing on it and so on. So therefore, it's considered bidei adam. Okay, the next case is ala ovid shalanovim, a vat of grapes, but mechutzer isn't missing a number of cases. For example, it's missing um, mechamer, first of all, but you have to have a chance for it to. The idea is that it sits there, it warms each other up, and the juice starts sort of making it makes it easier for the juice to start flowing. That's step number one. And then the yula be matzat, you have to bring it into the wine press. Lemedish ulemanged, you have to press it, and you have to tread on it, and then you have to draw it from there into the wine barrels. So there's a number of steps away. It's more than two. So we answer it's not a b'chia ala kaima shel zaysim. Just like b'chia says later on when it comes to the olives, it's already sitting at that, already there. The only time when we say in the Mishnah you can go ahead and pay now, even though there's no fixed price, we're talking about already at the stage which already sitting in the vat, and already sitting there and they're warming each other up. Same with the grapes. It's already that stage. So all you have is two steps away. The treading and then the treading and putting it into the giant for pressing, and the treading and the stepping on it. Think about still missing three. It's still missing a third one. You have to draw the wine out from the wine press into the barrels. So we're talking about we're talking about Ba'asa, the place that who deserving the nugget. You know who draws out the wine? Not the seller, but actually the purchaser. So therefore, as far as the seller is concerned, only two steps away. And because there's two steps away, you can already organize a price. The same thing is we're going to say about the same thing with the olives. But the same question. It's you have to first put it in the vat, and it just sit there and warm each other up. The yula lebei dafin, then you have to bring it into the house where you're going to press the olives, the medish, to tread on it. First you have to bring it in, then you have to tread on it, umanagid, then you have to draw the oil out from this press into the barrels. So a number of steps away. So here Reb Chia answer what we already mentioned before. To Reb Chia al koimishal zaysi. We're talking about the olive already sitting in this vat. Talking about Yigat is still 3 steps away. Yeah, you're still three steps away. You have to put it, bring it into the place where you're going to where you're going to press it. We have to tread on it, and then you have to draw the oil out. 3 steps. So we answer the same thing. The one who purchases it is the one who draws it out. So only 2 steps away as far as the seller is concerned. On those balls of the created version Kalim, Amai, Machusa, you have a number of things missing in more than 2 steps. First of all, the fufa, you have to shape it. The vushi has to dry. Iula, so you have to put it into the oven. The mitzvah to burn. Ulamefin, then you got to take it out. A number of steps away. So we answer, keep going to Malafa Yavishu. The Mishnah says that according to Rab, that you can go ahead and negotiate a price. No, you already went through the stage number 1. You already shaped it and dried it. But you could class that's still 3 steps away. You have to put it into the oven. You have to turn the oven on, and then you have to take it out. Who does who the mapping? No, who takes it out, who extracts it, the one who actually bought it. So it's only 2 steps away as far as the seller is concerned. So therefore, it's considered yeshla as if it's already in existence. Balasid on plaster or lime, when you put it into the oven, says the Gemara. You're still missing mikla. You have to burn it, va'afuke, and take it out, and then umedik. You turn it into after you burn it. You turn it into small pieces. You turn it into sort of a powdery substance, and what you do is you put the mixed water after it came out of the oven, and it sort of breaks down like flour. So it's 3 steps away for this plaster before you use it. So we answer, who does oven, who dying? You know who turns it into powder? The one who buys it. Powder, the one who buys it. So there's only 2 steps away as far as the seller is concerned. Now the one has a question. Shmuel says that if it's totally up to me, even 100 steps away, I can negotiate. So why does it say in the Mishnah only once that you prepared it, the stones and the wood and everything else, when you prepared it in the oven, ready to put it in the oven? If they're sorry, putting it in the oven, what do you have to have that for? According to Shmuel, it's me 100 steps away if it's totally up to me. So we answer, you're right. Ema, what we mean is, you don't have to get anything ready. The moment that it's ready, everything is ready there, and you just have to bring the wood and the stone, everything else that you need for it. I don't care how many steps it takes; it's good enough. Says the Gemara. Valabeyim shel yoitzer, on these bowls of hair of the creator. You cannot yet negotiate a price on these things until you actually form it, until you actually make it. It's only talking about white sand. No, it was a very rare sand. And therefore, when they used to, because it's very rare, very difficult to find, they wouldn't put it in until they were 100% ready and it's already mixed together and they already formed it completely the way they want it. If it's black sand, which is very, very common. So, because even if you don't have it here, someone else has it, and that's good enough. We learned before, even if you don't have it, someone else has it, good enough, it's available. In that region of this village of Hananya and its neighboring little villages, or Kfar Shichin, or the city of Shichin, where there's so much, an abundant supply of that black sand, then we don't care if you even have it in your hand right now. I can negotiate with you. It's all available. You can buy it anywhere else. Yes, you don't have it, someone else has it. Mema would give money. He would give money once you had the sand, even though you didn't shape it, but you had to have the sand. And this is a bit difficult to understand because which town is he following? Come on. If he holds like a mayor that you have to be mamish ready, how much he asks, it's not enough to have the sand, you have to actually shape it already. And he could Rabbi says you don't even need to have the sand because it's so available. It's such an abundant supply, you can get it anywhere. So why did he wait until he had the actual sand in his hand before they negotiate a price? Someone else has it. So we answered Rabbi Yossi. But if I say in his region, Gamema is not like those two places mentioned before. Oshik Afara, it was a bit more expensive. It wasn't that common. So if the sand was already there, even though you didn't shape it, some Chadaita, he's happy. Rabbi Yossi, you don't really have to shape it yet. He'll pay the money. But if you don't even have the sand available, since because it was a bit rare, like some Chadaita, he did not rely. Maybe you won't find the sand. He wouldn't give you the money until you showed him that you had the sand there with you. We had in the Mishnah Machlekes regarding fertilizer. One opinion is that you can negotiate on fertilizer all year long, and then then you have the next opinion that says that you cannot negotiate fertilizer unless you actually have the fertilizer, and the third opinion says that the Chachamim say that you could negotiate fertilizer. And it sounds like the Chachamim are saying the same in Tanakama. Ask the Gemara, Paisik Gemara, come a whole year. Chachamim Hain Tanakama. What's the difference between the third opinion and the first? They both say that you can negotiate on fertilizer all year long, even though it's not right there, because it's always Yashli. It's like always there. Amar Rava says Rava. Yemais Hakshamim Ike Benayu. According to Tanakama says the entire year you can talk about fertilizer. Now, rather, fertilizer generally is much more available in the summer because it already went through the winter. Now it's all dried up. It's ready to be used as fertilizer. The winter is not yet ready to be used as fertilizer. It's sort of getting ready, but it's not 100% ready yet. So therefore, the Tanakama says that the entire year. Rabbi Yossi says no. It has to be. You have to actually have it, and that he has to have the fertilizer in his own ownership. And the Chamim say that even though you don't have the fertilizer, because it's so available, someone else has it, it's considered Yeshle is good enough. Even though you don't have it, someone else has it, that's good enough. But that's only in the summertime, because that's when this fertilizer is ready to be used straight away. In the winter, it's not yet 100% ready to be used. It can be not ready. So Gemara tells a story. There was a person, the Yoav Zuzah, there was a person who gave money, Linadonya, there was a person who gave money for dowry, Devei Chamua. So there was a person, the father-in-law wanted that his daughter should have a dowry, so he asked his son-in-law to go ahead and buy certain things. So he was buying things on behalf of his father-in-law for his own kala, and clothing and so on. So he gave them money. He prepaid. He prepaid to these storekeepers that when the time for the wedding comes along, they should have, that he wants to pick up these items and so on. And at this moment, we understand he was an agent on behalf of his father-in-law for his own kala. But what happened was when it came time to pick it up, the price came down. L'soif zol the danya. What happened was the price came down. So now the father said to the son-in-law, "We're not paying for that. When at the time you negotiated, it was $100, but now we can get the same item for $50. So back out." Also, came for the puppet. They want to know whether they can back out or not. Amalei, he said as follows: if you made up with him that you're going to pay the best best price. In other words, if the price went up, you pay the price that you actually pay the money. If the price goes down, you're going to pay the new price, which is if that's what you made up clearly, then then it's part of the deal. Then you can pick up the price right now. However, the Eloi, if you did not make anything up, you paid him already, prepaid him back then, and even though the price went down, you have to pay the full kimik shakel kimikada. You have to pay the price you originally took. Because otherwise, it looks like ribis. Why are you going to get a new discount if you didn't make anything up? Because you gave them advance money, and therefore they decided to give you a discount because they had the use of your money. You can't do that but if you spoke it out, then it's like a t'nai in the deal. It's not like an advance of ribis of a loan. This is the price that you paid. That if whatever the best price is at the time. You're telling me that if you didn't make it up, Shakil Kimakari is stuck. He has to buy the earlier price. Why? He was never kind of Moist money. Why can't he change his mind? Why can't he just change his mind and say, I'm walking away? Since all he gave was money, and we learned before already that money is not a kinyan. And if money is not a kinyan, we had an argument for Chacham and Shimon. According to Chacham, money is not a kinyan. You can always change your mind. You might get a mishapara. You already gave. No, if you just gave your word, your bond, there's no mishapara at all. According to Rav, it's your integrity is in question. But if you paid money, even though it's not a kinyan, we will exact the kolala, the curse of mishapara. Whoever punished Noach and so on will punish you because you gave money and you're not proceeding with it. But he can still change his mind technically. So all he gave was money. All he does is he wants to walk away from it. Why can't he walk away from it? Rab Shimon says when you gave money, the seller can change his mind because all he gave is money. But the buyer, once he gave money, the buyer is stuck. The buyer is final. So the pastor will go to Chachamim, so he can walk away. The buyer could change his mind. What's the problem here? So you're right. That's what I meant. What I meant was that if he I also meant all he does is he gets a curse. And it was like this. If you're telling me that we made a price that I made up before I even bought it. Look, I'm paying you now $100, but you should know that if the price goes down, I want a better price. In other words, if you make up the I can have the better price than if the moicha kada and the moicha agreed. If now the moicha changes mind, look, I don't want to let you go out of it. Then the moicha it doesn't want to give the money back. Then the moicha would get a curse because we made up and that you are going to give me the better price. But Eloi Pasuk, if he didn't make it up anything about the price, and the Lekeh said, look, the price came down, I want to walk away. Lekeh got the bay, then Makab Lekeh Mishapara. Then Lekeh, even though technically you're right, he could walk away. I'm not saying he can't walk away, but he'll receive the curse of Mishapara because you gave money and now you're walking away. That's what that Papa said I meant. Who told you that that the Mishnah, our Mishnah that says that you have to make up the better you have to make this up first to make sure that you have a better price. Who said that this Mishnah goes according to Rabbanan who say that both of them can walk away? That what if you only gave money, they can both can walk away, and all you get is a mishapara. Maybe the Amri they say money is not kind of, but feel hockey nevertheless. And Pasik Shakal Kidimikada. You're telling me that the Pshat is according to Chachamim that say that money is not really a kinyan at all. But even so, the Mishnah says only if you actually made a precondition that if the price comes down, I want to then be able to pay the better price. And if I don't make that precondition, I cannot say I want the better price, and therefore the Chacham say Mishapara. Who told you that Chacham said there's a Mishapara at all? Dilmur Rab Shimoni. Maybe our Mishnah follows Rab Shimon, who says that the Lekech cannot walk away, and that's why Rab Shimon says you have to make a precondition to say, look, normally I cannot walk away, but I'm telling you right now, I'm giving you the money up front, but if the price goes down, I want to pay the better price. And therefore we say that you have to make it up and make it up Shimon. Because maybe you don't even get Mishapara. The Ahmad Moy is kind of shakel. And therefore if he spoke out, I want a better price. This is shakel kahashta. Then if the price goes down, he takes a new price. And he let pasuk. If he didn't speak it out, then he's stuck. Not a Mishapara, then he's stuck. Shakel kimikar should have come because the money according to Rab Shimon by a buyer, he is stuck. Once you get the money, he's kind of. Rabbanan, maybe according to Rabbanan, there's no Mishapara either. The price goes down. Even if we didn't make it up, I can just walk away. Why is that? Why do you think I prepaid? What's the motivation? Why would I prepay if I'm not picking up for 2 months? Why would I pay you now? There's only one reason. I want to make sure I get a better price, thinking that the price might go up. So I want to therefore lock it in now, and I'm getting the better price. If the price is fixed, you're allowed to do that. If you already have the clothing, I just didn't pick it up, I'm allowed to do that. And if there's an increase in the price, it's my benefit. So therefore, it's self-understood. If the price goes down, then obviously I want the better price then. Why did I prepay your money for nothing? So according to Chamim, you decided that according to Chamim, there's a Mishapara for walking away. No, if the price goes down, maybe according to Chamim, you can walk away rightfully so without even a Mishapara. There's nothing wrong with walking away. On Malay, so Papa answered back. Amud Amar Rab Shimon. Amalei said, Amud Amar Rab Shimon. You know when Rab Shimon said, no, I'm saying even according to Rab Shimon. You know when Rab Shimon said you're locked in, that the buyer is locked in once you get the money, he can't walk away. The price hasn't changed. The price hasn't changed over the 2 months till he picks it up. And therefore Rab Shimon says, sorry, you can't change your mind because you already gave the money. The price is no volatility. The price you can't change. Or even if you want to pick up straight away, but something happened, it wasn't available yet, so the price hasn't changed. But betray tare, if the two different prices, you paid it when it was $100, and when you come to pick it up and now it's $50, maybe Rab Shimon owes moide that the loker can change his mind, because it's as if there's an unwritten thing there that I never wanted to prepay this, but mi amar, but mi amar, and Rab Shimon is saying that's when you get a mishapara. Even though you're allowed to not change your mind because it's not binding, but nevertheless, you shouldn't walk away. If not so, otherwise, according to Rab Shimon, by the buyer, when can he ever receive that curse of mishapara? If he didn't give any money, there's no mishapara if you don't give money. If I promise I'll buy something from you and I walk away, we had a machlekes there's anything wrong with that. According to Rav, sorry, man, worse, your integrity is in question. But that's it. You're not locked in, no mishapara, you don't get cursed. And if you did give money, according to Rab Shimon, the buyer is stuck, he can't walk away. So when is there mishapara? What's the problem? Maybe Shimon holds mishapara is only the vendor who has the right to change his mind. After he receives the money, changes his mind, he gets a mishapara. Maybe the buyer never gets a mishapara. He can be. Because if you're going to say Taka, the buyer has no mishapara, by the time we learned. It says clearly nevertheless, this is the halacha. That you could walk away. Aval amru, but we say Rab Shimon himself is the one who's saying this. Rabbi Amru Chacham and Mishapar. Rab Shimon himself says that you Mishapar. Now, maybe he's only talking about the vendor, but my Mikom Makom. What do you mean Mikom Makom? In all places. In all instances. Lav, the Loishon of Lekeh, Loishon Moich. Rab Shimon saying that even the buyer can walk away. So we see Rab Shimon clearly holds that even the buyer can walk away. When can that be? Rab Shimon holds that if you once you paid money, you're stuck. You're buying. It must be that it's only if the price is more or less uniform. But if the price fluctuates, the price is a new price, is different than the original price. Even Rab Shimon is made, the buyer can walk away. The Kabbalah Mishapara. He will be cursed. When does Rab Shimon say that you cannot walk away only one price? But two tries he can't. So therefore, we can be talking about here, according to, it makes no difference. Chachamim, Rab Shimon, they all hold the same thing, that when it comes to two different prices, you could walk away, but there's Mishapara. And this is what the Mishnah says. If you made up beforehand that if the price comes down, I want the better price, then you have a right to get a better price, no problem. If you didn't make it up, even though technically you can change his mind, whether we follow Rab Shimon, whether we follow Chacham, you can always change your mind, but you will receive a Mishapara. The tape clay. Since we're talking about that the son-in-law is a shliach, now the shliach is not the one. The son-in-law is not the one who's changing his mind. The one who's changing his mind is the father-in-law, and the father-in-law was not the buyer. So what kind of mishapara here is? The shliach shavi mikara. He only made him a shliach. So the shliach, the son-in-law himself is not the one changing the father-in-law. So the son-in-law shouldn't get a mishapara, and the father-in-law also shouldn't get a mishapara because he can say that the son-in-law, when I made you shliach, I made you l'tekuni shadartich. I made you to benefit me. I didn't send you to make it worse for me. And therefore, there's no mishapara, not for the father-in-law, not for the son-in-law. So what's going on here? Amalei said, we're talking about a case here where the son-in-law wasn't acting as an agent, as a shliach on behalf of the father-in-law, but rather betagra. We're talking about that he himself was a merchant, the zavin or masbin. He's like a middleman that buys and he sells. And therefore, it wasn't the father-in-law who organized the whole thing or said how much to pay. It was him, his own accord. And therefore, there's a mishapara. The Mishnah further. Now here's an interesting case. We learned before, we learned later that you cannot, lend borrow a saw of wheat to pay back a saw of wheat, because it could be by the time you pay back that measure of wheat will be worth a lot more, and therefore it's like avak ribas the rabbanon. So now when you had a sharecropper, if you want to lend a saw of wheat to your sharecropper in order to plant, because a sharecropper is someone you divide 50-50. Now some places we'll see in the Gemara, the sharecropper used to bring his own, just like a person comes to clean your house, they bring their own equipment to clean your house. And sometimes you provide them the equipment to clean your house. So when it comes to sharecropper, in some places the sharecropper brought their own wheat to plant, and some places the sharecropper relied on the wheat of the balabas. So Malva Adam Esarisav Chitin, a person is permitted to lend, let's say, a saw, a measure of wheat to his sharecropper, and the sharecropper will then pay you back that a saw of wheat when it's all ready. Why are you allowed to? But only if he's going to use that as seed. If you're going to lend him to eat and he'll pay you back a saw of wheat a few months later, as we said before, I'll do that because it's sabak ribis. It looks like ribis. Shahaya Rabbi Gamliel was very machmir, and the Mishnah is telling you, but we don't have to be machmir when it comes to if you're using it for part of his. And the Gemara will explain why you're allowed to. What's the chiluk if you lend it to him to plant or lend it to him to eat? Either way, you're lending him one saw of wheat. He's paying you back a few months later a saw of wheat. It could be the price is higher. Why you're permitted? The Gemara will explain. But Rabbi Gamliel was very machmir. Even for planting, what he did was malves aritzav chitin b'chitin lezera b'yoiker. So he would lend a saw and a saw. And this is what he did. Well, let's say you gave it to him at a high price and then the price came down, or the low price went up. Always took whatever was the lower price. In other words, he always machmer. He never wanted to be like ribis. Even if he lent it him for planting, if the price later on came down, he wouldn't say, give me back a saw. He said, you know what? He said, if the price went down, he said, give me back only one saw. Even though for the dollar value, I can get a lot more than one saw now because the price of wheat came down. It doesn't matter. Give me back one saw. If the price went up, he would say, give me the dollar value. Because I don't care that the price went up. Give me back a saw. Give me half a saw back. Because that's halacha. He was machmas. We want you to know, don't follow his opinion. He was on a chumrah. I'll tell you what halacha. Says the Gemara. Now we're trying to understand what's the chiluk if you lent him for eating or you lent him for seed. What's the difference? We learned. You permitted when is that permitted? As long as the sharecropper hasn't yet gone down to start his work, you can arrange this thing and lend him a saw for his planting. Once he came down to your property and he's been activated, he's now working as a sharecropper, then also you can no longer make any change. You cannot lend him because now it looks like ribis. We'll see in a minute what's the logic here. Now, Tana did on our Mishnah says you're permitted to lend to a Aris. The Lekamaflik Ben Yorin makes absolutely no difference whether you did go down to the field, you didn't go down to the field, makes no difference. You're always permitted if you're using it for seed. And Umaishna Tana Bra, why is it Tana Bra? He said the Kamaflik makes a distinction Ben Yorin, Ben La Yorin, whether you went down for the seed or didn't. What's the difference? Amar Rav, this is Rabbi. Rabbi Ida Azbernella. Rabbi Ida explained to me. The Asher, the Tana did in the place of our Tana, Arisa Yohev Biza, where the Mishnah was written in this place, the Oris would bring his own seed, and then he worked out. He would either get some place had a half of the yield, some had a third, and some had a quarter. But he brought his own seed to plant. Yorad Bain Loya makes no difference at what stage it is. I can lend him. Kama de Loya Biza Motzim Misalakle. And why? So then it makes no difference whether he went down to the field or whether he didn't. When did he go down to the field? As long as let's say the sharecropper doesn't have his own feed, doesn't have his own seed. He's common lo. So therefore, since the deal was that you have to bring your own seed to plant, and you don't have any, I don't care if you already came to work for me, but you don't have the seed. What are you gonna do for me? And I can therefore fire you on the spot. And so therefore, since I have the right to fire you on the spot because you didn't bring the seed, so then what happens is when I'm lending you the seed, it's not like I'm lending you a loan. It's as if I'm saying, look, I wasn't meant to give you any seed. You were supposed to bring your own, and that's why you were going to get half of the produce or half of the yield. But now that you don't have it, I have to give you a saw of seed to be able to plant. So you're going to get one saw less. Let's say the yield was 6 saw. You're supposed to get 3. You're not going to get 3. You get 2. Mine is the one saw seed I already gave you from the beginning. So it's not a question of a loan. This is part of the deal of what your profits will be. That's why you're allowed to. So when you came down to work for me, you came down to work for one saw less than what you're entitled to. So it's not a loan. This is our business arrangement, our partnership arrangement. But The Bryce is talking about a place, but Asa the Tana Bra, Mari Ada Yod Business. In the place where the Bryce is, that's the minig. The minig is that the owner of the land is the one who gives the seed, and this person gets a half or a third or a quarter. Is E Lo Yorad. So if, let's say, as long as the guy didn't come to work for me, I can still change my mind and fire the Matzah Masalik. I can say, look, forget it, I don't need you. Is Kikonochis, so if I lend him that stage, since I can fire him, so if I lend him, I'm not giving you a loan, I'm just telling you this, we're going to make a new arrangement. We can change our arrangement. Instead of you getting half the yield, you'll get half minus one sum. Well, but he got it once he came to work for me, and by law I had to give him the seed. The lematzi misali, I can no longer fire him. Then I cannot change the rules. Then what am I doing? I'm lending him, and it's usher, and a loan is forbidden because look like it is. Tell him I be learned. Oh, even a person can say to his friend, "Halveini korchitin, you lend me one kor of wheat, 30 saw, a certain measure of wheat. The koit says loidamim, and don't look at it as 30 saw as a kor. Look at it as the dollar value, $1,000 worth of wheat. So I lent you $1,000 worth, $1,000, and you made up that's what you're going to pay me, whatever the price is right now, and." Huzlu, let's say the price came down, the guy has a right, he has a right to pay me back a quart of wheat, even though a quart of wheat now is worth less than what a quart of wheat was at the time. You have a right to give me back a quart of wheat because that's what you borrowed, even though we also put a dollar value on it. But the price goes up. It's $1,000, but now a quart of wheat is worth $2,000. Then nois in the mem, you're not allowed to give me back a quart of wheat, obviously, because that's ribis. So you have to give me back $1,000. Says the Gemara, Alay Kotzatz, the Chayda, we gave it a dollar value, let's say $1,000. So why, if the price goes down, I can just pay you 30 so a week, which is only worth $500? Shouldn't I have to give you $1,000 back? Oman of Sheish says, you're right. Hachikama, this is how we understand. Im Lay Kotzatz. If you Taka said, lend me a quart of wheat and it's worth $1,000, so I owe you $1,000, then even if the price goes down, I can't get away with giving you a quart which is only worth half of $1,000. I have to give you then $1,000 of cash. But we're talking about like cuts. If you didn't turn it into a dollar value, you just said I'm lending you a quart and you pay me back a quart. In that case, if the price goes down, you can give back a quart. But if the price goes up, then you give him the dollar value, not a quart, because that would be the risk. How is the night chita of the wheat? How can the nice to make the money? Continue tomorrow, Mitzvah Hashem.